And the model of support that humans seek from each other feels to me like it's changing. It feels to me like at the moment the traditional models exist where we go and spend time with someone who calls themselves a professional of some description, diagnoses us with something and then gives us a pill to allow us to manage it, but doesn't really instill any hope in us for the possibility of us overcoming those things. And then we have the therapeutic approach, which tends to work with a structure or a format, and again wants to place you into some kind of box or process and work through your issues. And that's not to say that those things don't have their value, but if we zoom out slightly, we have to consider, and I'd like you to consider, that you're a human being. You're not a series of labels. You can't be reduced to 5 steps or a piece of paper with some notes on it. And if we look at the success rates of these things, I'm not saying this as an act of condemnation. Like, these things have value, of course. But just realistically, if we look at the success rates of the traditional intervention-based therapeutic approaches, they're not doing very well. And why is that the case? Well, as far as I'm concerned, we have to honour the entirety of the human, not just the labels or the dysfunctional bits. And in reality, nothing that you're going through or that I'm going through is truly dysfunctional. It's just a symptom of a worldview that isn't reflective of reality. And I mean that in the most loving way. And to expand on that slightly, what I mean is none of us were put here to suffer. If we're suffering, it's because at some level we believe we should, because we've either done something wrong, or we're a bad person, or we should be punished because of our sins or our karma or our lifestyle choices or whatever it happens to be. And being creatures of habit, creatures of belief, if you want to use those words, we can only experience our perceptions of the world. And as soon as we give ourselves the space to consider that perhaps the things that we experience are perceptions rather than truths, they do have an opportunity to change. But this does take time, or it can take time. It doesn't have to, but it can. And what's the one thing that we don't give ourselves is time. I'm going to sit here and take some time. We don't give ourselves time because we don't think we're worthy of it. We want someone to fix us in 15 minutes because there's an overwhelming demand for support from other people who also want to be fixed in 15 minutes because they haven't realised or ever been told about the value of investing in themselves. And then on the other hand, we have the people who have invested in themselves, who now, in many ways, have some inflated sense of importance and want to tell us that their way is the best way, which is also not very helpful because there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. And as someone whose profession it is to help others overcome, it does make my life, in some respects, slightly difficult, but in other ways, it makes my life considerably more straightforward because I'm here to support you as you are and to help you navigate through whatever it is that you're navigating through in a way that works for you. So you have to go through the process. There is no substitute. for doing that work. But the value of having people that can see you, that want to see you for the entirety of who you are is, well, you have half a chance. I say that lightly. You have half a chance of actually discovering that you are so much more than you have ever been told. You are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. And that there are so many more opportunities waiting you than you may in this moment be capable of seeing. So it's my job to open those up for you, or open you up to them, I'm not quite sure which. Perhaps both. And I'm not saying this as someone who thinks of themselves as like a perfect example of a human being. Like, I've been through it and I've come out the other side, and my life is considerably, immeasurably more enjoyable than it ever was before I started to see the value in myself. But that doesn't mean there aren't days when I lose sight of that. Once we realize that the sun is above the clouds, it doesn't mean the sun is always shining on us. It just means that we know when it rains, or it snows, or it's cold, or it's grey, that it won't last. And to me, that's the most important thing. Like, if you are going through something that is difficult in your life right now, and it feels like it will never change, I can tell you it will. I might not necessarily know when, but it will. And to know that it will means that it takes something which appears permanent and gives it an end, makes it temporary. Now, all of life is temporary if we want to put things into perspective. And that's a conversation for another time. But for now, like, if you're at the beginning of the journey and you're finding it hard to see the value in investing in yourself, then just consider what you're asking for, what you're seeking in life. If you want other people to give you things, to give you their time, to give you their love, to give you their appreciation, their money, their business, whatever it happens to be, but you don't have a space in yourself to be able to receive that, then it's going to make it really difficult, and you have to work really hard. And human beings aren't supposed to go through this journey of life enduring hardship after hardship. There are times when things will not work out the way that we anticipate them working out, but we don't have to give it the definition of a hardship. We don't have to make it extra hard for ourselves by saying, well, this is happening because I'm a bad person and I deserve it, and I knew it was going to go wrong because everything in my life has gone wrong. Again, I'm saying this because I've been there. I know how that feels. Waking up every day anticipating another setback, another failure, another rejection, another criticism, another loss. That's a product of the world I was raised into, and I have come to see that the world is not quite as negative as I was led to believe it was. Yes, there's negativity, but there's also tremendous amounts of love and joy and peace. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This natural landscape. It's been here longer than I've been here, and it will continue to be here long after I've departed. It doesn't care whether I appreciate it or not. But if I just take a moment out of my day, I just sit here for a few minutes, and I just look. It doesn't take long for me to gain a sense of appreciation for what I'm seeing. Certainly at this time of year, in the spring. And this is a way of me investing in myself by coming and sitting somewhere for a few minutes, putting my phone away, giving my mind the opportunity to rest, listening to the birds, considering where I am in my life right now and whether or not the things I have and the things I'm working towards are things I genuinely want, or I just want them because I think they're going to make me happy. And sometimes it's one or the other, sometimes it's a bit of both. And then to change course accordingly. And that's okay. I don't have to beat myself up about that, neither do you. But as I said before, it's not that we can't stop. All of us can, and many of us are forced to stop when we burn out or we get sick. No, you don't have to do that. It's just that we choose not to stop, because when we stop, what we're left with is the momentum which exists in our minds, and that's the bit we really don't like. Think about how many of us hate being sick, because when we're sick we can't do anything, and we're left with this voice inside full of guilt and blame and shame and all the other stuff that's up there. Like I said, it's not that I don't have that. It's there. I just listen to it less because I realise that it's not going to lead me anywhere positive. And it won't lead you anywhere positive. Acting on your fears, it does nothing to serve you. All it does is it accelerates your path towards making those things a reality, because you're giving your energy to them. And you don't have to do that. And you might say, yeah, but if I don't do that, it's going to happen. Well, I tell you, actually, in fact, it's the opposite. If you do that, it's going to happen. If you worry about not having enough money, then you're constantly going to be looking for the signs that confirm what you believe about that. If you worry that you're going to get sick, you're going to be looking for every little sign that confirms your sickness. You see? And so we have to take a moment to step back sometimes. We have to take a moment to be with ourselves and just recognize, actually, maybe that voice inside is not my friend right now. Maybe that voice inside is not leading me in the direction of the things that I want, and in fact is not serving me or the people around me. And I can do something about that. And as I mentioned, my job is to see the entirety of you. Like, you are not that voice. You are behind that voice. You are the one which observes the voice, and you have the power to change the voice and make the voice work for you. And it's my job to show you how to do that. And it can be done. But I can't do it for you. I think that's the important thing I want to say here. No one can. No course you can buy. No medication you can take or drug you can expose yourself to is going to do anything for you. It may put you in a position where you're able to do it for yourself, but it cannot do it for you. And I need to make that abundantly clear. And if you go into this journey with a full appreciation of that, or full awareness of that, it will save you a tremendous amount of time and hardship, and also disappointment when you realize that all of the things that you're paying for cannot give you what you want, because it's in here. And I can only point you back towards that. And it may not be comfortable, it may not be enjoyable, but it will be beneficial. It will transform your life. I absolutely guarantee you it will transform your life. So again, this is an invitation for you to consider that. To give yourself some time, invest in yourself, invest in your own development, because this is your life, and your life is a product of you, and when you start to change, your life changes. And I want to help you experience the expanded perspective that comes with working on yourself, the tremendous amount of value and worth and appreciation that you get for you, and that you're then capable of receiving from others. If that helps, get in touch. Always happy to explore that. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.